Hi, this is videomathlessons.com. This is a Algebra 2 and Trigonometry quick lesson, lesson number 13, exponents. So let's take a look at this first problem, number 1. If x is a positive integer, 4x to the 1/2 is equivalent to which of the following? And what this is hoping you remember is fractional exponent, the numerator is power over root. Now notice it's only hooked up to the x. So what this is really just saying is, don't touch the 4, just leave the 4, x to the first power square root, which would look like this. So it's 4 rad x. Choice 3. Let's try it again. Number 2, x to the negative 2/5. All right, now it's related to the top, power over root, except it has this negative exponent. And we don't like negative exponents. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix the negative exponent. Now, how do we do that? Well, if you cross the line, you change the sign. So for example, if x was to the negative 2, well, I could fix that by thinking about x to negative 2 is over 1 to start with. And if I move it downstairs, it becomes a positive 2. And this would just be a 1 upstairs. But now what if there was a number upstairs? Like before we had a 4. Let's put a 4 back upstairs. If there was a 4 here to start, the 4 would stay and it wouldn't change. So this would turn into 4 over x squared. Well, now let's look over here. There's no number in front. There's no coefficient. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move this x downstairs. Well, if you think of it over 1 to start with, it'll be 1 over x to the positive 2/5. Now remember, power over root. Power 2/5 root. Power 2, now look, 1 on top, so it's not either one of the top two. Power is 1 over x to the second power, 5th root. That's going to be choice 4. So let's take a look at number 3. Negative 4a cubed b squared. Well, since this is a 2 right here, in the past your teacher probably told you, well, just write that twice. So I'm just going to write it twice, and that's what the square means. Do it twice, multiply it by itself. And so now I'm just going to do it. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. A cubed is a to the 6. You add the exponent. B times b is b squared. That is the answer. But another way to think about it is this. I can distribute this exponent to all the parts inside. So I'm just going to write it like this. Negative 4, notice I keep the negative with the 4 in parenthesis, squared. A cubed, the whole thing squared, and b squared. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. A cubed squared, what you do is you multiply. So we're going to get still the same thing, a to the 6, and we get b squared. Either way is acceptable. Since this was only a power of 2, the first way is fine. But as the problems get more complicated, this way over here in the back might be better. Well, let's talk about this number 4 here. This is the 4th root of this mess, 16x squared y7. Now, we talked about before that when you say a fractional exponent, it's power over root. Now, we can think of the 16 as a 1 to start with. So let's take a look at the 16. 16 power 1 root 4. So it's 16 to the 1/4 power. Let's try it again. X squared power 2 root 4. Y value power 7 root 4. And then we're going to do each one of these. Now, if you don't know what the 4th root of 16 or 16 to the 1/4 is, we could just use our calculator. So over here, just turn the calculator on. And when I enter the 1/4, I'm going to keep it in parentheses. The fractional exponent, keep it in parentheses. And when we hit enter, you get a 2 out of that value. So 16 to the 1/4 is a 2. Well, that means it's not these guys. 2/4, when I reduce it, I get x to the 1/2. The 7/4 doesn't reduce, so 7/4. So we take a look, and it's going to be choice 1. We're going to do the exact same thing for this next problem. Let's take a look. 16 power 1 fourth. A to the power 6 root 4. B power 4 root 4. And we're just going to clean this mess up. Now, we already did that calculator. The 4th root of 16 is a 2. 6/4 actually can reduce down. So 2 goes into 6, 3. And it goes into 4, 2. And 4/4 is a 1. So I get b to the 1. You don't need to put the 1. So let's take a look at these choices. And it happens to be choice 2. Number 6. F of x equals 4x to the negative 2 minus 2x to the 0. And they just want us to evaluate this function at f of 2. And what that means is that 2 is the x value. Actually, people like these questions because this is very, plug and chug, just crunch it out. So it's 4 times 2 to the negative 2 minus 2 times 2 to the 0. Now, you could type this in your calculator, one shot, just like it is. So that's what I'll do over here. So I'm going to type in 4 times 2 caret negative 2 minus 2 times 2 to the 0. And we get an answer of negative 1. But now, why does it work out to be a negative 1? Well, let's go back here. This is a negative exponent, so when we fix it, we move it downstairs. So it'll be 2 to the 2 squared downstairs. So that'll be 4 times 1/4 minus 2, and anything to the 0 power is a 1. So 2 times 1. Well, this reduces. 1 minus 2 equals negative 1. And that's the answer we had using the calculator. Number 7. F of 64, here's our function, x to the negative 1/3. Now, we could do this with a calculator, without a calculator. I'm just going to do it without a calculator. So I'm going to do 64 to the negative 1/3 power. And if you need a calculator, feel free to use a calculator. Do not get this wrong just because you didn't feel like typing it in. So let's write this down. So now I'm going to fix this. So it's going to be 1 over 64 to the 1/3. And we did this before, power root. It's really saying the cube root of 64. And we show cube root by putting a little 3 right there. It's called the index. And the cube root of 64 is a 4. So 1 over 4 is choice 1. Number 8. 5 times 16 to the 0 plus 16 to the negative 1/2 minus 16 to the 1/2. Now these halves are fractional exponents, are power over root. So it's just going to be a square root thing. So that's not a big deal. Anything to the 0 power is a 1. So 5 times 1 is 5. Let's do this back one here. Square root of 16 is a 4. Now this is a negative 1/2. So it's going to be 4, but we're going to move it downstairs like we did before to fix the negative. So that would be plus 1/4. Well, 5 take away 4 is 1. So this is going to be 1 and 1/4. Usually in algebra 2, we do not leave it as a mixed number. We like to have like an improper fraction, which is fine, or decimal even in this case. 1.25 would be fine. Or you might say it as 5 over 4. Just change this to an improper fraction. That's all good. Well, thank you, and I hope this helped. Please please come back for some more lessons.